Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to episode 4 of The Season Keepers, the show where the only two people we recommend keeping for the season is us. My name's Matt, aka Clean Sheet Wipeout.
And my name's James, aka FBL Drug.
How you doing, James?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Pretty nice day up here, Manchester. I don't know why I'm going to talk about the weather every time, but there we go.
It's because you're so far away, mate. You know.
Yeah, it's normally pissing down here, so it's nice to see a bit of sun.
That's true. Do much over the bank holiday?
Yeah, I went for a walk up a hill called Pendle Hill. I actually got told it's actually about witches or something. There's a witches walk up there.
Okay.
I didn't know that till today. Someone from work told me.
Nice.
But yeah, beautiful view. You can see the Lake District and even North Wales because it was a really clear day.
There you
beautiful.
Go. Might as well make the most of it whilst there's not much football on. So.
No, exactly. What about you?
The Community Shield at the weekend, and then out and about with the missus on Sunday and Monday. Make the most of not working. It's always fun, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good fun.
So for the listeners and those watching on YouTube, for this episode, I think we're going to run through some transfers to start with. We've both picked 5 players, and then we've got one that we'll discuss in depth together at the end that we think are either, ones that you should be looking out for or reasons why you should be avoiding. Then after that, we'll look at our current draft teams, have a bit of a laugh. Neither of us have seen what the other team looks like at the moment. I know we've obviously got the international break to come and potential injuries and further transfers, but just to see what our thinking is now, and then we'll answer your questions and then end the show. Is that good, James?
Sounds good to me.
There we go. Right, let's get cracking with these transfers then. Do you want to go first with your first choice?
So one I've looked at is Tiago Silver. At 5.5 mil, I think they've priced him just right. I think he should start. I reckon he would be a regular feature of their back four. Matt, I think he disagrees.
Possibly.
But he is also a wait and see for me in the fact that we're not sure how Chelsea's defence is going to be this season. I sense it will be improved as they have strengthened, but they were obviously very poor last season. So see early on the first couple of games if they're keeping clean sheets, and then it's one to think about, one to put in your team as a sort of I think he'll be a consistent centre-back starter for them. But as always, you've got to get a feel for the way they're picking the team. So like he may be one to start in the Champions League or even the League Cup. But I would say he's more likely to start in the Premier League, in my opinion. And your thoughts, Matt?
The reason I slightly different, I'm just a bit worried about his age. I know he was getting reduced minutes with PSG, but I think he's been very much brought into Chelsea for his experience. They lack experience in that back line. I know they throw Aspilicueta as part of a back three occasionally, but he's a good asset to have that there, and he could be really good in training. Whether he starts every game, I still doubt personally, but could be proven wrong. At $5.5 million, if he's a starter.
I think the experience is exactly why he is going to start. I think he's much more likely to not start as much next season, so 21, 22, due to his age. But I think that they brought him in with this season in mind to shore up their defence and provide that experience and comfort to some of the younger players.
Oh yeah, I just wish we had got to see him 2-3 years ago, really, in the Premier League.
Yeah. I think we've potentially missed his best years, but he's still life in the old dog yet.
No, that certainly is. I guess I'll go to my first pick then, which is an ex-Chelsea boy, and it's Willian, who's now gone to Arsenal. I think at $8 million, he's well priced, and in the game he's owned by almost 10% already, which is quite surprising. 9 goals, 9 assists last season. Quite a lot of them came probably post-lockdown. I'm interested to see how he fits in this Arsenal setup, though. It's not a player that I'd be jumping on straight away. Obviously, you've got Aubameyang probably playing out on the left there. They're likely to go with either Lacazette and Nketiah up top. But they've also got players like Pepe. So does he rotate with Pepe? Does he play further wide? It's not a price point I want to be gambling on just yet.
No,
I
no.
think he could be a
You
really
also
good
got
acquisition.
Saka as well. Like it's interesting
Yeah, no,
to see,
definitely. I
see
think
how they're going to set up.
it's one of those prices where it's very much a wait and see for me. And I think other than Aubameyang in Arsenal, I won't be going near them to start the season. I know there's the likes of Tierney and stuff, but I think Willian falls into that bracket of you got to wait and see how they start performing. I don't know how Arteta is going to set up with them. The only one that I can really captain and play at the moment is Aubameyang. So
Yeah, I think Aubameyang is enough, to be honest. I think if you get a Aubameyang and a Willian or another Arsenal attacker, that's just overkill. That's too much.
No,
As good as Arsenal were looking in the Community Shield and so on, I don't think it's worth doubling up on attack anyway. I think maybe you could have Aubameyang and Tierney. That might be quite good. But Aubameyang and Lacazette or Aubameyang and Willian, I'd advise against it, personally.
yeah, no. I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's a shame we didn't really get to see some of these players in the Community Shield for injury and COVID related. But
yeah, I was looking forward to seeing Saliba. It's quite frustrating to see him on the bench, to be honest.
Agreed. Yeah, it's one of those 4.5 millions that it put me off a little bit. I've kind of gone elsewhere, which we'll find out later. So,
oh yeah, we'll see about me as well.
yeah, who's next then?
So next up for me, easy. Easy. Not sure. Oh, I say easy.
We'll find out.
Obviously, a very good player for QPR. Had a good season in the Championship last season. I actually thought he was I think he's an attacking mid, but I thought he'd be classified as a forward in the game. I just assumed he was and didn't actually check till today that he's actually a midfielder.
Yeah, 6 million midfielder.
And that makes him more attractive to me. He's still not currently in my team, but he is an attractive option for me. I think if Palace are going to be playing well, I'm going to want him in. So he's definitely in my thoughts. And I'd say if you want a midfielder for 6 million, I'd say it's worth chucking him in.
Yeah, well, you just got to look at his stats for the past few seasons. You got what? In 18-19, it was 4 goals and 4 assists. Not that prolific. But then you look last season, 14 goals and 8 assists for that QPR team. You can see why Palace have gone for him. And Palace's fixtures, I think, allow you to kind of see how they start to integrate. Because, they play Man United and Chelsea in that first 4. So you're not going to jump on them straight away. But come game week 5-6, if you've got to save a bit of cash in one way to then, bring back the likes of De Bruyne, Fernandes, he could be a good way to go.
Yeah, I think he may not even necessarily score on the first couple of games, but you'll be able to get a feel for how he's playing. Players can still play really well and look really threatening without actually scoring. So, obviously, if he's getting subbed off in the 55th minute, then you're going to stay away. But if he's playing well and looking dangerous, then he's going to be one to think about, especially when they hit easier fixtures.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to seeing his relationship with Zaha as well.
On to your next one.
Yeah, I've looked at Ziyech for Chelsea. I know there's a lot of talk about him. We've all seen the assist that then I say the assist, puts it on Cho's head, 50p head back to Werner, and everyone's screaming that Werner scores, but Cho should be burying that in the friendly there. He had 6 goals and 12 assists in the 19-20 season, which is very good. But the season before that, in 18-19, when Ajax were prolific, 16 goals and 13 assists for that team. It's incredible stats.
Russia.
For an attacking mid, yeah, you want to be seeing that. And he's priced exactly the same as Willian, 8 million. I'd be more, edging towards going with someone like Ziyech. I've gone Werner at the moment for Chelsea. I don't want the double up, but little spoiler there. But I think at 8 million, you've got him and then Pulisic at 8.5. Come, game weeks 3, 4, whatnot. If Chelsea are on fire, there's no reason why you can't be doubling up on these players. I'm excited to see him in the Premier League.
Yeah, no, as am I. I think at that price point, he could be a real bargain. I'm potentially missing the boat if I'm waiting and seeing on him, but you can always still get on him fairly quickly at 8.1, 8.2 if you're a bit late.
Yeah, that's the worry. You don't want it to sail up, do you? But the last thing you need is you've waited to see for 3 games. He's got 2 goals and an assist, and he's already up to 8.3.
Yeah, no,
We've seen it.
exactly. Well, yeah, I could quite easily, I don't know, be sat on Greenwood with 7.5 mil, have 0.5 mil in the bank, but then his price rise means I can't get him.
Yep.
Could be something like that.
Yeah, it is a worry.
So on to Mario Lemina for me. Very cheap player to put in. I think he'd be an ideal 5th mid. He's probably going to start every game for Fulham. And he does have the potential to get the odd rare assist or goal. I think, especially if he's playing every game as well, because he did get rotated occasionally with Saints. I think for 4.5 mil, there's not many better options out there in midfield. So as a budget pick, I'd recommend him. He is a fairly defensive mid, but he on occasion can shoot from quite far out. I remember a cracking goal against West Brom for Saints. He's a very good player, very good player. It's just a shame that his attitude's a bit off. If you've seen the Spurs documentary, he's a bit like a Dele Alli kind of type.
Yeah, it's very much. He's got the potential, but I think he lacks the professionalism. It's all about the thing that I now don't like him for is trying to sell himself with that really cheap YouTube video to Man United. Then it's all about getting on the lemonade and
tonic like lemonade. What a dickhead!
I know. I can't stand him. That's the reason. And I know he went out to Galatasaray and he's done okay out there, and it's great to see him back in the Premier League. But Fulham fans have got to worry about his attitude. If they get the player, that we know could be, then at 4.5 million, he's a steal. But he needs to show his professionalism. And to be fair, I think Fulham will drive that out of him.
I hope so. I hope he don't get distracted by the bright lights of London.
Yeah.
Probably part of the pull of going to Fulham.
Doesn't surprise me.
You're in the heart of London.
You shouldn't get caught speeding around London, though.
No.
Right. Again, another Fulham boy that I've picked up on, which is another ex-Saint, is Harrison Reed. Priced again at 4.5 million. I think Fulham fans are very glad that they've signed him, and I'm glad to see him get regular starts because I've always liked him. He's come through our ranks, come through as a youth player. I think he posted that he's been with us 17 years, through the youth setup. So, I'm glad that he's getting the chance, and he's a brilliant defensive midfielder. He's not an FPL asset, in my opinion. Like, he does a damn good job for what he needs to do, but he won't get you points. Maybe in the Sky game, he could potentially, meet tackling tiers and stuff, but no, for me, I'd stay well away. If you're going to go 4.5 million in the Fulham, you'd probably edge towards Lemina because I think he's probably got more of an assist or goal threat than Reed will. But fair play to Fulham for getting him because, he was very good for them in the Championship last season. And hopefully he carries on this season.
He's a good player. He's going to be one of those 2-pointers.
Yeah.
Just consistently on a 2. Great player for them. As you said, also in the Sky game, he may be a bit of a better option, but I'd be inclined to stay away. Out of the 2, you'd pick Lemina because he's more likely to get an assist or a goal, to be honest.
Yeah, you're not expecting Reed to be the one up there in the box, for a corner or getting the odd Dendoncker goal. He did well for me last season at 4.5 million, but I think Reed will probably stay roughly in that price bracket and might get you 2 assists in a season, but that's about it. Yeah.
Next up for me is Rodrigo. I don't know. I'm not going to claim to know too much about him. Obviously, he's come from Valencia. His goal scoring record isn't amazing, but at the same time, that's why he's 6 million. I think he has the potential to do something in the Premier League, and that's why I like the look of him. He'll be obviously leading the line for Leeds. He's a better option than, I say, Bamford. So it's worth a punt, and you can easily switch back to the likes of Mitro or pay the extra 0.5 and get Antonio.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I may well end up picking Antonio over him, but it kind of depends on my budget and where I'm putting the funds elsewhere. I may have to downgrade to the likes of Rodrigo. But I think if you don't want to go Mitrovic, I think Rodrigo's a viable alternative.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see how he does. Stats wise, he got 4 goals, 9 assists for Valencia last season, and he did get 2 goals and 2 assists in the Champions League, which takes a good player to get goals and assists up there. But I think Leeds fans will be wanting to see some more this season. He's a very good signing. He's a decent price. I think he's a better option than Bamford up top. But wait and see for me. I think Leeds in general are very much a wait and see, and I think the fixtures allow for it. At the start we're all like, oh, they're really well priced, but when those fixtures came out, it kind of gives you 4 or 5 games to see how they set up and how they've started performing in the Premier League.
Yeah, agreed. I think, you potentially have the benefits of adopting him early. Like if you've got him in there, rather than you might potentially get on the bandwagon too late. Like I know a lot of people missed Pookie. They didn't get it. They were like, oh, he won't keep scoring. And obviously he did. He ran on a run of, it must have been at least about 7 games.
At least, yeah.
Scoring every week. I was one late to the party, the Pookie party, as it was called. Even though my team was named after him, I called my team Pookie Pies. It's a bit of a shit team name, but did the job at the end of the day, didn't it?
The worry is that Rodrigo could potentially have a very similar season to Che Adams, and I know a lot of people got on him, early last season as one of these enablers, and he didn't really do anything to post-lockdown.
I nearly did. I'm glad I dodged a bullet there, to be honest. I might be about to take the bullet in the form of Rodrigo, but we'll see.
We'll have a look. My next choice is Nathan Ake. Obviously, Man City have picked him up from Bournemouth, quite a fee. 5.5 million in FPL, but I'm most surprised by the fact he's already owned by over 10% of the people in the game. I don't know why, because I don't think Ake is as nailed as people think he might be. We all know that Laporte will, start centre-back. I don't think Ake will be first choice alongside him. One, they're both left-footed. Don't know how Pep would feel about playing 2 left-footed centre-backs. But the other thing is he's not moulded to the way Pep wants to play. And because of that, I can maybe see, them rotating partnerships early on in the season with Laporte before they start to really mould that team.
I think he will. I think he's going to want to play the likes of Garcia. I think they'll be
Garcia for sure.
Yeah, I think he'll be rotating between them. I mean, we could obviously change our strategy if, you see, he's starting every week, but I doubt he will. We know Pep likes to keep the team fresh, injury-free.
Yep.
And that's generally what seems to work for him.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if Laporte and Garcia are the 2 starting centre-backs at the beginning of the season. And then we maybe gradually see Ake moulded back into the squad through the season. But I can't see him being first choice this season. Maybe next season. He's a brilliant centre-back. He's exceptional at what he does. But I think Pep will surely want to mould him before he throws him in at the deep end.
You'd think, but I guess we can see what he does.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, 10% seemingly think that he's worth that gamble, and at 5.5 million, they're taking a big punt there. But
I think what people are thinking is they see the City have spent that money on him, and they think, oh yeah, he'll go straight in the team.
To start.
So then they're putting him in, and yeah, he may not necessarily start.
No.
Every game, but almost certainly not every game.
Yeah, I can't see it. Not unless they get another injury, which, I'm hoping that they don't, because I'd like to see them compete a lot more than they did this season.
Yeah, no, it'd be interesting to see how they get on. The likes of Liverpool, and it'd be interesting to see how Liverpool get on. If they start badly, it'd be interesting to see how they keep going. They might lose a bit of belief. It's always that season after you win, so it's the hardest one.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see, how confident they are going into the season and how much commitment they've got. No, they didn't. I don't think they played particularly well in the Community Shield. They got going maybe towards, mid to end of second half, but I don't think they were brilliant. And watching the likes of Salah, it was a bit unnerving. But it's the Community Shield at the end of the day. They've got a couple of weeks to improve on that, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. We'll see how they hit the ground running in the new season. But they did seem to look a bit like how they were in the last few games of last season, just not quite as sharp as they were in the first half of last season. Right, moving on to the next transfer. For me, Sheffield United, it's Ramsdale. I think he is the potential next Pope. Not guaranteed, but I think he will get a decent amount of saves, and it kind of hinges on the sort of season Sheffield United are going to have. They may regress, as we've mentioned before, but even so, I think he'll be a good option. I think if they're not playing as well, he'll get more saves, and if they are playing well, he'll get clean sheets. And on most days, we'll probably get a combination of clean sheets and saves. Obviously, he's in a better team than Bournemouth, but his price has only been increased by 0.5. I think that's about right. I think 5 mil is enough. I think 4.5 would have been a bit cheap, and 5.5 would be a bit too much.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on there. 5 million, he gives you something to consider, really. I know for those that maybe aren't going with the old set and forget, rotation at the start of the season, the likes of Ramsdale are priced in those positions that you can get on them. And I think you've touched on that, he's joined Sheffield United, who were defensively, brilliant, especially at the beginning of last season. So if they can carry on that form, he's a good shot stopper. He will definitely get save points throughout the season. Whether he picks up bonus if they get clean sheets, we'll have to wait and see. But good signing, in my opinion. One to consider for sure if you want to get in the Sheffield United, because a couple of the other defenders, I think, have been maybe priced 0.5 too much. So if you want to get
certainly. I think you'd be more inclined to go Ramsdale, to be honest, if you're going to go into the defence. Maybe Egan, but we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. So my last choice before we discuss the one that we wanted to both pick is Højbjerg, another ex-Saint. I think Spurs have got a really good signing there, to be fair. I know we had the issues at the end of the season when he said he wanted to move, and rightly Hasenhüttl took away his captaincy, gave it to Prowsey. But he's professional when he was called upon, still played the game. I think he's a brilliant centre mid. He's incredibly passionate, drives the team, and he's always looking to get forward. That's one thing I noticed throughout watching him at St Mary's is whenever he wins the ball, his first thing is to look up, get forward, and if he can't, he'll take control, look around him, and then try and retain possession. So I think under Mourinho, you could probably see him in that centre mid role throughout the season. Wouldn't surprise me.
I'm not too sure FPL wise. I think he's a good signing football wise, but FPL wise, I would probably stay away from him, to be honest. Last season aside, he's not the sort of player that's clinical with his shooting. He's not the best. He's often twatting it into the stands, to be honest. I as an FPL asset, I'd avoid him. I'd pick Souček over him all day long.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. I don't think he's an FPL asset. I think he's a
good signing. Yeah. Agreed.
To be fair, again, for those playing the Sky game, and we're looking into it and trying to develop our teams in the next couple of weeks. Højbjerg could be a good option in the Sky game because he'll be guaranteed to meet those tackle tiers. He's always, isn't he? So
I think having the likes of Højbjerg and Dyer, they may work well together. They have a real grit to them. A real, depending on where they play, Dyer, a real decent spine. I think he'll be good for the dressing room as well. I think that could really help their team spirit.
Yeah, he's got a bit of fight about him, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Constantly seeing him, picking battles and stuff in midfield there, and I think that's kind of what Spurs need: someone to stick a foot in, get stuck in, maybe cause a bit of a ruck between other players. But under Mourinho, I think that's what he wants. Should we touch on this last one, which we both think is a mad transfer, and I think we all know that that's Doherty. How he's gone from Wolves to Spurs for less than 15 million is fucking beyond me.
Yeah.
I don't know how they pulled that one off.
Crazy. Daniel Levy's done it again.
Yes. I suppose, agencies and stuff there's links between, Wolves and Mourinho and whatnot, but 15 million for a player like Doherty is a steal in today's market. his goals and assists that he got last season, we all know what he plays. There's no point in us delving too deep into how good he can be, because we know it. The worry is that stifled a little bit by going to Spurs. I think his goal threat potentially, but the way Mourinho seems to like pushing that right back forward, he could be getting a lot of assists there, on the end for Harry Kane, and defensively Spurs might be a bit more solid than Wolves, so he could get more clean sheets as well.
Yeah, no. Initially, I was sceptical of Doherty as a pick moving from Wolves to Spurs, but I think if he's just essentially replacing Aurier and playing that role, obviously we saw him in amongst the assists a lot last season. I think Doherty could quite easily slot quite nicely into their formation.
Yeah.
As that attacking wing back, I think he has the potential to even equal or even beat what he's done at Wolves with the players he's got around him. He'll be pinging balls into the likes of Kane. He'll be obviously pushing into the box like he does. Yeah.
It's so it's just one to look forward to. It's a transfer that I don't think anybody expected. And was it when TalkSport kind of announced that it was happening, we were all like, yeah, bullshit. That's not going to happen. And then the story just kept running. And then obviously eventually we seen that photo. Sky Sports announced that he had been officially unveiled, and we're like, wow. So there could even be people at the moment out there that currently have 4 Spurs players in their teams. If they've gone down the route of maybe having, Lloris or Dyer, Son and Kane, now they've got Doherty sat there. There's some people potentially with 4 players. So obviously your first transfer will have to be a Spurs player out. That's part of the FPL rules, but you can have him, or you could have had him sat there whilst he was still a Wolves player.
Yeah.
So hopefully those have helped you a few people out. Now for a bit of fun, eh? Shall we have a look at our initial drafts? Because neither of us know what we're doing, and this is always quite a fun thing. We used to have a bit of banter in the Facebook group, but we've kept that, haven't we? So
I'm sure we'll disagree with a few decisions,
absolutely.
but I'll go first.
Yeah, I'll let you go first. Go on then.
So for the benefit of YouTubers, you'll be able to see what my team looks like. And I'll run for those of you on the podcast. Yeah. So in goal, I've got McCarthy. In defence, we've got Robbo. I've changed from Trent to Robbo. I've wanted to get myself that extra 0.5 million. Still got Saliba in the team at the moment. I'm not put off by the team selected in the Community Shield. I still think he may start the season, and if he doesn't, I've got a decent enough bench to cope, I think. Alongside Justin and Mitchell, I've got Mitchell over Ferguson because it looks like he's going to start the season while PVA's out, and then I could easily switch from Mitchell to Ferguson. All hinges on Ferguson's injury news. I think if he's back sooner, I may start with Ferguson, but I think Mitchell's going to be the one for me for the moment. Into midfield, we have Souček, Salah, Saint-Maximin, and Aubameyang. So Souček, 5 mil. I got obviously the 2 premium assets there, Aubameyang and Salah. I'll talk you through my plan. It's to move Salah to Kevin De Bruyne next week, after game week 1.
Yeah.
And then move that 0.5 saving up front to a striker, which I'll talk through in a minute. And so my 5th midfielder, currently on the bench, obviously as he doesn't start game week 1, is Greenwood. And my 5th defender is Kyle Walker-Peters. And now my attack. I understand I've done this in a slightly weird way. But the attack is Ings, Vardy, and Rodrigo on the bench. So the plan is I want Vardy for that fixture away at West Brom. Might even captain him. I'm not sure. And then I can change him with the 0.5 if I take a hit that I gain from Salah, change into Kevin De Bruyne, and upgrade Vardy to Aguero, and then go into that game week 2 with a Aguero KDB double, which could be quite tasty. And the guy I've forgotten is Neeland on the bench in goal. I'm sure you were dying to know
that. Interesting team there. A couple of picks. Obviously, Saliba, not sure I'd go near to start with, but I can see why you're doing it. I'm interested to see why you're starting Mitchell instead of Kyle Walker-Peters. I know obviously this is a draft and things can change, but I know Palace are at home there, but I think Kyle Walker-Peters potentially has more of an attacking threat than Mitchell. Obviously Saints bias as well. I do like the fact that you've got Greenwood sat there, and it means that you don't have to waste the transfer. And the Aguero talk is one that I particularly like. Again, we've mentioned this several times now, but 10.5 million for a fit and fire in Aguero. I shared a video yesterday, I think, that he released that he's back training. Obviously, not sure when he's going to be back fit yet, but if it's early, game week 1, game week 2, yeah, people will be on him.
Yeah, as long as he's back for game week 2, I don't mind. No rush for game week 1, as soon as he doesn't play.
No, exactly. So.
But yeah, I just like the idea of having him. I was scared of not having Vardy, and I feel like maybe that's a better option than me having Martial sat on my bench, which is what I was going to do.
Yeah, I think it's a reasonable team. You'll see a reason why I'm not disagreeing with you on the Robbo over TAA talk at the moment. You'll see that shortly, but there is the debate in the community at the moment of why people aren't going TAA, and I mean, he's exceptional. If he blows you out in the water, he's already owned by over 50% of the people there. So we could get punished. But as you're about to see, I've done a very similar thing to you, James. For those on YouTube, you can now see my team. So I've gone Ryan in goal. Mainstay. Love the guy. Started with him last season. Going in with him again this season. I've got Dyer, Walker-Peters, Robbo, and Vinagre is my back four. The reason I've gone Dyer is I think that in Spurs back line, I think if they keep a clean sheet, he's going to be a bonus point magnet. He's one of those players that gets stuck in, clearances, headers. Walker-Peters I really like as a player. Really glad that we've signed him. And I kind of wanted a Saints defensive asset for the start of the season because I really like our fixtures. Robbo, by far, I thought Liverpool's best player in the Community Shield. Pinging crosses in. Yeah, Trent was missed, but I think Robertson can match him. He has done in the last couple of seasons. Don't see why not. At the moment, I'm happy to take that risk of 500,000. I'm a bit worried about Trent's fitness to start the season. We might see otherwise, obviously, international fixtures coming up, whether he gets game time. But for now, Robbo's there rather than Trent. And then Vinagre, he's 4.5 million. Wolves have got decent fixtures. He's not set in my team at the moment. I'm a bit worried about the fact that Wolves seem to be losing players and not signing. But for now, 4.5 million, he's in. My midfield is then Son, Souček, Salah, and Aubameyang. So I want Aubameyang for those first two fixtures. I think I potentially, undecided yet, but potentially captain him rather than Salah that first week anyway. And I wanted a Spurs asset for the first few games going forward as well, but I didn't want to commit the funds to Harry Kane. So at the moment, I've gone Son. I could go Dele Alli, and I know that some people might think, what the fuck are you doing? But he's $1 million cheaper than Son. And if he starts, further forward again, like we've seen him at the start of Mourinho's tenure at Spurs, then I think Dele Alli could potentially perform again this season. But for now, I've gone Son. And then up top, I have gone Werner and Danny Ings. Werner, love the look of him. I think he's a brilliant striker. And I can see him firing from the off for Chelsea. And I've gone Danny Ings, Got to go with my heart here. Because I've seen a lot of people go with Che Adams, but for now, I kind of want to make sure that I've got the main striker at Saints, and again for those first fixtures. So I've gone Ingsy, and then on my bench, this is where I'm not too thrilled. I've obviously got Button for the Ryan rotation, just in case Ryan gets injured. I've gone Basuma. I think 4.5 million Brighton midfielder. See a lot of talk about him. Brighton fans seem impressed, and I think he'll play. So I've gone him for now. I've gone Mitchell at 4 mil. I know he started the last 2 or 3 friendlies for Palace, and at 4 million he'll sit there. The one that I'm gambling on and praying that he gets a spot elsewhere rather than sitting at Liverpool, and I know Klopp said otherwise, Brewster at 4.5 million. Because if he stays at Liverpool, he's not going to play, and I'm going to have to rethink this because I don't want a non-playing, striker to start with. But for now, that's where I am.
All right. The bench is a bit questionable, but I guess that's where you've managed to maximise elsewhere. Obviously, those savings from having Brewster. Obviously, you may rethink it if he doesn't go on loan. Vinagre is a questionable one, I'd say. But that aside, I think it's a pretty good team. I didn't expect to see 2 Spurs players in your team.
Yeah. I think their fixtures are brilliant. I know people might be put off, but I'm going with them for now. Defensively, I think they'll improve this season. And I just really wanted a Spurs attacker. I will be looking after game week 2. It will probably be Aubameyang to KDB. And depending on how Salah is performing, it may well be Salah down to Bruno for United. I could also, in tweaking this team, might downgrade Son and then use their funds to upgrade Brewster if, he doesn't get a move. There are players kind of in and around the 6-7 million that I could touch on, maybe even 8 if I went to Dele Alli. Free up some funds for Brewster up to someone like Mitrovic. But yeah, this is where I am for now, really. It's still got a couple of weeks, don't we, before the season kicks off. We've got the international breaks. Anything could happen during then. People could get injured.
Injuries, signings. Aubameyang could move. He's obviously not committed to a contract.
Yeah,
and he avoids every question.
Yeah, scare off the Arsenal fans now, eh?
But if he stays at Arsenal, then I think he's a great option this season. A fantastic option.
Oh yeah, and the fact he's been, put to a midfield slot rather than that forward role just adds to his potential, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, it makes him even more appealing. I think he's always one to consider anyway, but as a midfielder, I think he's got to be in there.
Right, well, those are the drafts. So we've kind of been sent in some questions. The first one, the ever-present Ronarid9. Thanks again for your question, mate. Is it smart to avoid triple up on teams, given that COVID could cause postponements if outbreaks are within a team? This seems more important now than ever to have 14 regular starters in our squads too. What do you think?
I think that's a decent point. I think, say you have 2 triple ups in your team and then COVID wipes out, I don't know, that game or those 2 teams' games, then you're going to have a real headache on your hands, like a real problem on your hands. But I'd also advise just against, unless they've got a real good set of fixtures and you really want all 3 assets, I'd advise against tripling up anyway. I'd say only for special occasions. I'd say mainly
Christmases, anniversary.
Yeah. You don't want to spoil yourself. I'd say normally a double up is enough. One example of a triple up that I think I did last season that worked was I think I tripled up on a Sheffield United defence, be it Henderson, you get defenders. I think that worked for me. I think when you sense a team is on form and consistent with regards to clean sheets or attacking returns, like last season as well, the United trio, that's what really fired me up the ranks. So I wouldn't necessarily say don't do a triple up. I'd just say only deploy it when you really think you're gonna reap the rewards. I think we can't let COVID dictate the way we play the game too much, because otherwise, everyone's going to be at the same disadvantage if fixtures get postponed, if these things happen. But I'd say play it as if that isn't going to happen. Just you can deal with that when that happens, and that's not your fault. That's out of your control. But until then, it looks like the games will go ahead. So I'd say triple up if you fancy it, if you really see an opportunity to do so. But I'd say starting the season, don't triple up.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, obviously, I'm coming from a place where at the moment I've technically got the Brighton triple up with obviously Ryan, Button, and Basuma, but it's not a triple up. I think that would massively affect me. Obviously, goalkeeper wise, yeah, sure, but Basuma could quite easily be, as we've discussed, Mario Lemina at 4.5 million for a Fulham asset, and then I've got that covered. I've not, gone triple on a team there. I think, yeah, you definitely hit the nail on the head there. That I think if you see a team in form, there's no reason why you can't jump to triple up on teams, and it can massively put you up the ranks. But maybe not from the start of the season. There's a lot of unknowns, and I know we all hate it, but yeah, COVID does play a part. We shouldn't be running scared of it going into the FPL game because, like you said, we're all in the same boat. But maybe stay away from too heavy a triple up to start with, and then see how things play.
Agreed.
The second question that we've got in is from David Strom. And it's, what are your thoughts on £6 million strikers? We've got Mitro, Adams, Ayew, and now especially Rodrigo as enticing options. But with bigger midfield being the meta at the moment, it's not the easiest price points to fit into our teams. What do you think?
I think there's some decent options there, some riskier than others. I'd say probably maybe Ayew's the safest option out of them in terms of fairly consistent returns. However, I'd say obviously a lot of people have gone Mitrovic. I think he has the potential to do well. Obviously, he had a good season in the Premier League when he was last here. Obviously, the bookings is a potential concern, the potential to be sent off. I mean, if he gets a straight red, then he's not in your team for... Well, he's a transfer burned, essentially.
Yep.
Che Adams, obviously, is a very... Because I'm going Ings, I'm not going Adams. But if I wasn't going Ings, I'd be very tempted by Che Adams. I'd probably have Adams if I didn't have Ings.
Yep. No.
So if you don't have Ings, I'd say it's worth a punt on Adams.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think Che definitely starts as Ings strike partner this season. And we've seen that he's kind of broke that hoodoo at the end of last season. Ended up getting 3-4 goals last few games. So
they're so much more confident.
Yeah, it's 6 million. You can't complain. He's again starting in the preseason friendly. With what I believe to basically be our first team lineup, and he got another goal there. So provided he goes into the season full of confidence, he could be a really good option at 6 million and a good enabler for those that don't want to maybe stretch to the 8.5 for Danny Ings.
Yeah, agreed. Rodrigo's just a punt for me. If I do stick with it, it will just be see how it goes. Like, he may even start on my bench, so it's not necessarily because obviously Liverpool.
Yep.
I mean, if he scores first game, then great. He's already in my team. But I think if Leeds are going to score, it's going to come potentially from him. I think he has the potential to do something. I think obviously having scored in the Champions League, played for a team of the standard of Valencia.
Yep.
I think if the crowd, there is no crowd. That's not a factor. Just about going about the Leeds fans getting behind him, but that's irrelevant, isn't it?
Maybe summer 2021. We'll see.
Yeah, there you go. Next season, bring him in, lads. Yeah, but no, I think he's just a bit of a punt for me. I think at that price point, it's not too much of a risk. I'll maybe more inclined to bring in Antonio, start Antonio, to be honest, for the extra 0.5, but I'll have to see where I am budget-wise.
Yeah, agreed. I think obviously we've got, moving on to next week, we've got the international fixtures in between that, so it'll be good to see kind of if players do pick up maybe a bit of form over the international break. We maybe see the likes of Trent get some minutes behind them. Hopefully we don't get any major injuries, and we might even see another transfer or two. Who knows? Maybe we might even see Messi back in the Premier League, eh?
Well, then, yeah, I'll bring up a whole host of problems. If
it would. These drafts would be getting torn up. Absolutely torn up.
14 mil, maybe 15 mil.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Even then, I think, 70% of the game have to own him, surely, to have Messi in your FPL team. We'll see.
Yeah, just because you can.
Yeah. Well, on that note, it's been nice chatting to you, mate. And thanks, everybody, for listening and watching. And as always, we really appreciate you guys getting involved, commenting, liking, sharing, subscribing. All helps us. And we'll speak to you next time. Thanks, James.
Cheers, Matt.